From an Indian perspective, how this election will impact the Indian community here? There have been reports that in some states, the Indian American community is supporting the Republican Party. Definitely in Pennsylvania and many other states like Georgia, the support for Democratic Party is really crucial. How the Indian community is looking at the overall scenario?
So historically, the Indian community has always supported about 25 to 35% of the Indian community has always supported the Republican Party, versus the rest have supported the Democratic Party. During this election, that tilt has grown more towards the Republican Party, and the fear of taxes has been the main reason. So it's really about how much money at the end of the day is going to be left in my pocket is worrying the people more than the political or the cultural fabric of this country. The people who are tilting towards the Democratic Party are more worried about the cultural and the political fabric, because the negativity that is being projected by the Trump's team is a fear factor for the people who are tilting towards the Democratic Party.
From a statistical point of view, around 2.5 million Indians are eligible to vote in the election. So it's not a very huge number, but if we see the political landscape, the Indian American community is emerging as a very strong factor. And that is why I think Team Walls visited this temple and celebrated Diwali today. So why so?
It's even though the community is very, very small, but when an election is so tight, that small tilt is going to make a lot of difference. Even in the last election, in some parts of Georgia or or other states, the election was won by mere a couple of thousand votes, and that tilt is there in the Indian community also. So, and it's a community that votes. It's a community that believes in the political institutions and the process. India has been a democratic country since the birth of it, since 1947. So we understand the importance of elections, and the Indian community over here is one of the most educated community. So we do vote, and our tilt does matter in this election for sure.
So if I would like to compare, how does the other communities, including Chinese origin people or Pakistanis or Bangladeshis, how they are placed actually in the current political discourse?
So again, both those communities come from countries where the political arena is distorted and kind of doesn't work for the local communities in those countries as well as it does in India. So we understand the importance of this democratic political process, and that's why I think the Indian community is better staged to make that effect happen over here in the local fabric over here.
Last question: what are the factors that Indian community will look at when they decide to vote?
As I said earlier, the people who are tilting towards the Republican Party, there are two factors to it. One is, in the last 10 years in India, we have seen that tilt towards the right. That same tilt is being seen globally, and the same tilt is being seen over here in United States. So there could be, on the right, there could be multiple factors that could affect a person's mind as to why and how they would want to vote for a certain candidate, versus the Democratic side, which is considered as the left side, has gotten weaker. But I think Kamala Harris, being of Indian origin, should have a much bigger impact for the Indian community in general, and also for a local Indian as a visibility within the fabric.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
So the Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz visited this temple and he interacted with the Indian community and celebrated Diwali. So what is the significance of Mr. Walz's interaction with the Indian community as it came just 5 days ahead of the mega election?
Well, so he is representing his main presidential nominee as Kamala Harris, and she represents a multi-color, multi-faith, multicultural fabric of this country. So that is a key element of this election, where this is pretty much the first time in the history of this country where you have a candidacy where the team together with Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, you have the Indian, all the non-Indian brown people of this country, the black community of this country, and the white community of this country coming together as a team representing for the presidency of America, which is, I think, a very key element of this race.
A lot of experts are saying that this election is also about saving America, protecting America's democratic values and norms. How do you see it?
So yes, there is a stark difference between the two sides, whereas one side has physically and vocally kind of demonstrated that they are more towards the pro-white portion of the America, versus Kamala Harris and Tim Walz's team is representing a multicultural and a multi-faith fabric of the country. So that is the stark difference between the two sides over here.
How the Indian community is looking at the election? Definitely the political significance of the Indian community is increasing very significantly. We have seen a number of lawmakers now representing Indian community at the Senate and Congress. So what does it signify, Kamala Harris, an Indian origin, Indian heritage, powerful democratic leader giving a tough contest to the Republican nominee, and there's a huge possibility of Kamala Harris winning the election?
So within the Indian community, I mean, this is one election after a few years where, you know, you're seeing the Indian community come in the forefront of the election process, where prior to the two candidates being chosen, we had two candidates from the Republican Party who were of Indian origin, Mrs. Nikki Haley and Mr. Vivek Ramaswamy. And now on the actual ticket for the candidacy from the Democratic side, we have Kamala Harris, who is, 50% of the Indian origin. And that, I think, represents a pretty large significance for the Indian community within the fabric of this country.
Do you think, in fact, the trajectory of India-US relations may change, or it may take different turns depending on who becomes the president?
I don't think the president of this country will control that. I think it will be the political institutions in India and how they interact with the institutions in the United States will be the key factor in the relationship between India and the United States.
The US presidential election is taking place at a time we are witnessing turmoils across the world. So from that perspective, how significant is this election according to you?
I think this election is about America and not, I don't think it will affect globally as much, because there are many other global powers that are affecting the global kind of political fabric, which has, America has a little bit of control on that, maybe on the financial side. But as a lead, I think America first needs to figure out their own fabric currently more than at the global scale. And that's what this election is representing.